It's 7 p.m. on Monday, the 12th day of April, 2021. And this is a regularly scheduled town board meeting. First order of business is roll call. Mrs. Green,
Here.
Mr. Ruggiero,
Present.
Mr. Manley,
Here.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Here.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Here.
Okay, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag
In the
of
United
the United
United
States of
States of
America
America.
America.
and to the republic
Republic.
Republic,
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
Stands.
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Supervisor, any changes to the agenda?
I have no changes.
I have none.
Okay, very good. Next, we go on to item 5 for the approval of the audit.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve this audit in the amount of $504,130.84.
So move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
Abstain.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, we go on to item 6, which is a public hearing. This is a public hearing on introductory local law number 1 of 2021. It's the amendment of chapter 185 of zoning for New York State licensed video lottery gaming facility as a permitted use in shopping center.
All right, Mr. Petty, has this public hearing been properly advertised?
Mr. Supervisor, this meeting was posted on the town website since March 26th of 2021. It was posted in the town hall lobby also on March 26th of 2021. It was advertised in the Mid-Hudson Times on April 1st, 2021. And it was published in the Orange County Post on April 2nd, 2021. In addition, copies of the notice of public hearing and the introductory local law were mailed on March 29th, 2021 to the clerks of the municipalities bordering the town in Orange, Dutchess, and Ulster counties, and the county clerks of those counties. This complies with all the requirements for a public hearing under New York State law.
All right, thank you. So with that, we'll look for a motion to open this public hearing.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Motion made and seconded to open this public hearing at 7:02 p.m. Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes. And I think first I'd like Town Attorney Mark Taylor to say a few words on this hearing. So I think we need to unmute Mark Taylor. There you go, Mark.
Thank you. The topic of this evening's public hearing, as Mr. Pendy mentioned, is a local law which will amend the definitions section of the town zoning code. The amendment is being considered on the petition of Monticello Raceway Management, Inc. Like most municipalities, the town zoning code divides the town into zoning districts which appear on a zoning map. The code lists the uses that are permitted in each zoning district. Many commercial and industrial uses have added approval requirements for site plan or special permit approvals. Shopping centers are a permitted use subject to site plan approval by the town's planning board in the town's business zoning district and its interchange business IV zoning district. The code's definition of shopping center starts with a group of stores, shops, or similar commercial establishments otherwise permitted within the zoning district, including eating and drinking places, developed or intended to be developed as a unit on one lot which may be constructed as a single structure or adjoining structures or neighboring structures. Similar commercial establishments that have been permitted in shopping centers in the town have included restaurants and fast food establishments, banks, professional offices, hair salons and barber shops, shoe and jewelry repair shops, as well as governmental uses such as a public library and off-track betting parlor. The local law would amend the definition of shopping centers by adding a sentence which provides New York State Gaming Commission and New York State Lottery licensed video lottery gaming facilities shall be considered a similar commercial establishment in shopping centers having an excess of 500 parking spaces within the IB district. The petitioner, Monticello Raceway Management, holds one of those licenses in the state. I believe there are about 10 licenses in total for the state, primarily associated with horse racing tracks, and is permitted by state law to open a gaming facility in Orange County. In addition to modifying the definition of shopping centers, the local law will also add definitions for video lottery gaming and video lottery gaming facilities. Now, those are based and track fairly closely to the State Gaming Commission's regulatory definitions of gaming and facilities. As written, the definition in the town's code will be for video lottery gaming facility will read, the physical area and amenities where licensed video lottery gaming and related activities are conducted. Related activities shall include drink service for on-premise consumption, food service, waitstaff service, live entertainment, and similar activities. Mr. Supervisor, in addition to comments received at this public hearing and subsequent written submissions, the town board will also consider reports from both the town's planning board and the Orange County Planning Department. The board has also forwarded a copy of this local law to the town's zoning board of appeals and will consider any comments that board may submit, as well as comments it receives from other governmental officials. And that
Thank you,
concludes
Mark.
my summary.
Thank you, Mark. So with that, I'm going to add just a little bit in my own words here. So this evening's hearing is for a zoning change allowing New York State licensed video lottery terminal gaming centers and shopping centers, which have an excess of 500 parking spaces. The town board is considering this change on the petition of Monticello Raceway Management, Inc., which is part of Resorts World, Genting, a group of companies, and the owners of the Newburgh Mall. I know not all are in favor of such a change. However, it comes with many types of benefits, one being job creation, not only within the gaming center, but from other businesses who will receive the economic benefits it will bring to the area. I want to recognize Senator Skoufis for being instrumental in sponsoring the state legislation that allowed the gaming center to relocate in Orange County, and in encouraging Genting to settle in the town of Newburgh. He was supportive of the project and actually negotiated the financial terms of the host benefit agreement on behalf of the town, which, while not yet finalized, will bring significant financial benefits to our community. As for this hearing, I want to make the following request. Please give your name and address before expressing your comments or concerns. Comments will be received up to 10 days after the posting of the minutes on the town's website. So tonight is not the only bite at the apple. There'll be time, even if we're going to close this public hearing tonight, but it'll be 10 days after the minutes are posted on the website. We'll still take comments. To send your comments, address them to town-clerk@townofnewburgh.org or mail to Town Clerk, 1496 Route 300, Newburgh, New York. Or you could stop by Town Hall and drop them off in person. If you have a concern, voice it. However, there's no reason for multiple speakers to voice the same concern multiple times, as we want to listen to all arguments for and against zoning change, not the same one repeatedly. Also, while we're not placing a formal time limit on speakers, please show courtesy to others who wish to testify tonight. So with that, I'd like to open it to Megan Taylor, maybe to say a couple of words before we open to the public. So Megan, are you out there?
I am here, Supervisor. Thank you so much. So good evening, and thank you, Supervisor Piaquati, on the town board members for the opportunity to address you all this evening. And I'd like to take a few minutes, quick minutes, to just address some high-level concerns which have been raised since our project was presented in February. So the first concern was traffic, and I have to tell you that we have done our very best. So Collier's Engineering and Design, formerly Mazer Consulting, conducted a traffic and parking analysis of the proposed project, which has been submitted to the town and has been reviewed by the town consultants, both planning and development advisors and Creighton Manning. After the review of the existing and historical traffic data and the comparison of the trip generation associated with the proposed change of use, this space indicates that the proposed Resorts World VLT facility would not significantly change peak hour traffic conditions in the vicinity of the site. In addition, the available parking within the Newburgh Mall property would adequately serve the proposed use as well as the remainder of the Newburgh Mall. Many many concerns have been raised about excursion buses. And what I wanted to make sure that everyone on this call understood was that excursion buses bringing customers to the facility are not part of our plans. No motor coach program or additional excursion buses will be entertained at this point in time. The site is currently serviced by local bus transit service, which includes a route that runs between Broadway and the city of Newburgh and Route 300, and has an existing bus stop at the Newburgh Mall. And we will be encouraging guests and employees to use that mass transit. The second concern was the impact on property values. The proposed Resorts World Hudson Valley project is a unique VGM project in that it is a facility being located within an existing shopping mall and not a ground up build. Since the announcement of our project, we have been approached by at least 4 operators, being restaurateurs, retailers, or health and wellness operators, all interested in occupying space within the Newburgh Mall. Currently, the mall has approximately 17 vacant storefronts, as we have mentioned in previous presentations, which we believe our project will assist in attracting new tenants and therefore positively affecting the value of the existing mall and the surrounding area. The third concern was responsible gaming. We want our patrons to have an enjoyable and responsible gaming experience. We are committed to promoting responsible gaming and prohibiting underage gambling. The New York State Gaming Commission, the New York State Office of Addiction and Services and Supports, and the New York Council on Problem Gambling all are organizations that we work with day in and day out. We work with them to address problem gambling in New York State. This includes ensuring that gaming venues comply with all rules and regulations and undertake proper outreach measures. Reevaluating self-exclusion policies across the state to ensure consistency, and considering the best ways to advance New York's long-term commitment to prevent and treat compulsive gambling. Multiple studies have been done on this very issue around the country, and it has been found that between 1% and 3% of the population actually has the potential to have a gambling problem. Whether it's gambling, drinking, shopping, smoking, it has to be done in moderation. And we at Resorts World will continue to work with these state partners and others to promote responsible gambling. And the fourth concern was crime. The issue of crime and the social implication of a casino development on the town and surrounding area must be addressed in any new casino development. One of the challenges surrounding any objective discussion on the topic of the correlation of crime and a new casino development is the lack of consistent or conclusive data. It is near impossible to analyze these events in a vacuum necessary to eliminate all of the variables that will ultimately influence the outcome. These factors may include the specific location of the new casino, whether that's rural or urban, the specific type of casino development, destination resort versus local market, population levels, existing tourism and visitation levels, or even the unemployment rate of the economy. Fairly recent publicized crime statistics for Connecticut highlighted the difficulty and critical thinking necessary to properly evaluate this topic. The crime studies included murder, rape, robbery, assault, burglary, and theft for Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods, two recently opened operations. Mohegan Sun opened in 1996 and Foxwoods in 1992. Montville, which is very near to Mohegan Sun, has averaged 13 crimes per 1,000 residents annually since the casino opened through 2009, which is 35% less than the 7 years before either casino opened. In Ladard, which is near Foxwoods, crime declined 25% compared to the period before the casino opened. In surrounding cities, Norwich, crime fell 19%, in Preston 33%, and in North Stonington 24%. Folks, I just want to say one thing, that a casino is one of the worst places on earth to commit a crime. We have state-of-the-art camera, surveillance, and surveillance coverage inside and outside of the building. And one quickly realizes a casino is the worst place to commit a crime. Bob DeSalvio and I have met with Chief of Police Bruce Campbell and look forward to continuing to work with the Town of Newburgh PD and New York State Police as needed to ensure the safety of our guests, employees, and Town of Newburgh residents and visitors. I would now like to introduce again the president of Genting Americas East, Bob DeSalvio, who will talk briefly about the topics I addressed and directly from his own experience of 40 plus years in the casino business.
Thank you, Megan. And thank you to the town board for giving us this opportunity to address not only you, but the public at large. I did just want to make a brief comment before I turn it back over to the supervisor, and that is that in some previous discussions, we thought that it might be best if the town heard from not just us, but maybe another community that might have gone through something similar, whereby gaming was introduced in an area that previously did not have it. And so I wanted to let everybody know who's on the call tonight that we did supply some names and phone numbers for elected and public officials from the town of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. In the town of Bethlehem, I was involved with Las Vegas Sands Corp for the design and ultimately build and operating of a place called Sands Bethlehem. It's now called Wind Creek. And there were some similarities between Bethlehem and Newburgh with the introduction. And what, Megan earlier talked about the issue of crime. And I remember talking to the mayor about this particular topic and how it had actually gone down. And I asked why. And I remember the mayor told me, because you guys provided one of the most important things, and that is to give people a job and to provide economic opportunity. And people feel proud about when they have an operation or one of their relatives working in an operation like that. And it has a tendency to actually be a positive for the community. So I did suggest that rather than just hear from us, I hope town officials will take the opportunity, maybe contact some people if they haven't already in Bethlehem, and really ask them about how did it go when a new casino is introduced to their community. And I think it's actually great experience to hear from another community that might have gone through something similar. And with that, I just want to again say thank you to the town board, and also thank you to the residents for possibly providing us this opportunity to bring our business to your community. I think that in the long run, you will understand that we will be very good corporate citizens, and hopefully years from now, we'll look back and say that you're glad that you made the decision to welcome us to the community. And with that, I want to turn it back over to Supervisor Piacquadio.
Thank you very much there, Bob. So with that, we're going to open it up for questions. And I think if you want to ask a question, rather than trying to look for the little hand to raise your hand, just put your hand up physically if you can. And what we're going to do is hear from everyone once before we have doubles, so keep that in mind. So with that, if someone has their hand up, our host will let them in.
You have to do it by a digital hand. Some people don't have video.
Okay,
And,
but the
also-
ones that have video can put their hand up,
Yeah,
yes?
but There's 76 people. We need to have a list on here too.
Okay, well, you tell us who to call first then, Bobby.
Okay, Joan Cusack?
Joan Cusack it is?
Yeah.
Okay, and again, please, your name and address and your comments. Joan is first, I guess. Go ahead, Joan. Is she unmuted? There she is. Okay.
Hi Supervisor, I'm Joan Cusack McGurk. I'm the president and CEO of Montefiore St. Luke's Cornwall Hospital and also a resident of New Windsor. So Supervisor and the town board, thank you for having this public hearing tonight. I very much appreciate it. I have to tell you, Supervisor, I think you said it all. You said job creations to the benefit of our community and we need it. And significant financial benefits for our community also. Megan, a professional I have known for many, many years, and many professional roles. She's credible and evidenced by addressing the 4 areas of concern: traffic patterns, increased property values, responsible gaming and crime. So Megan, once again, hats off to you. And Bob, thank you for joining us also. I think what you said is you're very good corporate citizens, and I believe that to be so. So I also did my homework, and so as the CEO of one of the major economic engines in the area, what I look at the jobs, the creations of jobs, and the average salary of significant salary, $74,000. I also look at no tax abatements and other incentives requested. No real changes to the mall footprint other than the enclosure of a dock and the changes to the facade, which it needs. Host of community benefits, all will increase by 5% every 10 years. That's significant, Supervisor. Community benefits, about $1 million. Town of Newburgh Public Safety Funds, $500,000. Special vital projects, $1.5 million. $3 million annually, $244 million over the time of the lease. And maybe the most near and dear to me is workforce development, construction, premium jobs, staff with union labor, which we know how important that is, preference to local residents, and partnering with local colleges for training on the local demographic grounds with high unemployment rates. Local vendors, once again, local labor. We also have Resorts World Community Partners Program, and also additional local charities and investments. Resorts World gives $50,000, and they're good corporate citizens. So what I really appreciate, zoning changes, prepare the local law, and accept the community host agreement. And once again, thank you to Senator James Skoufis for supporting the right thing to do for this community. I'm a large employer of this community. I serve the underserved, and there's a dichotomy of the people that come into my organization. And I absolutely believe this project is at the right time, in the right moment, that we need this. We need the economic growth coming off this pandemic. It could not come at a better time. So I appreciate this time, Supervisor and the town board members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joan. So Joan has to mute herself, Bobby, now? Oh, okay, she's muted. Thank you, Joan. Who's next?
Maureen Helen?
All right, Maureen Hallahan, we can unmute her.
Thank you so much, Supervisor. Thank you, everyone, for holding this public meeting tonight. This is a very important project. It's tough to follow Joan Cusack McGurk, that's for sure, because I was going to open with what a believer I am in this project, and the fact that we have such credible people working on this project, you know, with Megan Taylor, you know, presenting this to us tonight, and even the attorney that they have, Rick Golden. These are really hardworking, honest people that live within the community and work very hard in the community. I'm sorry, and didn't introduce myself to everyone. My name is Maureen Hallahan. I'm the president and CEO of the Orange County Partnership. And I'm speaking tonight as the partnership president to discuss the economic development values here for that project and what this project means to the local community. So obviously there are the tax ratables. And what I loved the most when I read about it and met with the leaders for the project is the community host agreement, the community benefit agreement. I want to make it clear that doesn't happen in every community. That's something that was negotiated. That's something that was worked on together with the community leaders to try to make sure that Resorts World gives back to the community and the school district and everything having to do with public safety and to fund vital community projects. This project is going to create so many jobs for our locals. Like Megan and Joan said before me, that these are union jobs, and we need to amend the local law to make that happen for us. And we're hoping to close the public hearing tonight to move this project forward, create those jobs, start with the community host agreement, and get the colleges training our young people and people to work here at Resorts World. This is a quality project, and we hope that you'll give it every consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maureen. Bob, who else do we have? Alan Seidman. Alan can be unmute himself.
Thank you,
Identify
Mr.
yourself, please.
Can you hear me, Mr.
We can hear
Supervisor?
you. We can hear you.
Okay. With respect to what you said earlier, I'll try not to repeat too much of what Joan and Maureen already said. My perspective, first of all, I'm Alan Seidman, Executive Director of Construction Contractors Association. And my office is probably the closest of anybody on the public hearing. I can walk there at lunchtime to the mall. My office is at 330 Meadow Avenue in Newburgh, and I'll take Megan up on her offer for help if I get gambling too much. But this project brings a lot of opportunity for my members to bid on this work, hopefully obtain this work. I represent local contractors who hire out of the local union halls. So it would be jobs for my contractors as well as jobs from the people that we hire through the local union halls. Will help salvage them all. The taxes to both the town and the school district. My organization does pay taxes to both the town and the school district, and we certainly, along with everybody else, have concerns about the increases, and this will help abate those increases, having a viable business in the Newburgh Mall. The mall is deteriorating. Having somebody that's willing to come in and invest in that mall, I can't think of a downside to it. The home benefits to the town of Newburgh that Senator Skoufis negotiated have already been discussed. Gambling can be a problem, but people will gamble. I'd rather see them spend their money here rather than chase our residents to Pennsylvania to spend their money or Connecticut to spend their money. Hopefully people don't have that gambling problem, but when they gamble reasonably, why not do it here instead of sending our money, their money elsewhere? So I would encourage the zoning request to be approved, and certainly am in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Robert Atkins? Asser? Robert Acker, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I've heard all kinds. My name is Robert Acker. It's all right, sir. My name is Robert Acker. I live at 32 Summerfield Drive. And I am against the project at the current state. I understand that the previous speakers have spoken about the various aspects of the project, the community agreements, the money that would come in, the taxation. As an engineer myself, I am concerned on a number of facets. The first is the traffic study. I understand that the traffic study took a look at current patterns and existing patterns and trends, but by not incorporating any current plans for a busing system, but while still leaving that open on the tail end, we are potentially exposing our community to significant traffic snarls in further development times and further development areas when we're going to have less room to accommodate them. Additionally, the bus route is currently used for shoppers and commuters, and I don't believe our current bus fleet is capable of handling the additional load, nor do I think that has been studied by Mazer. And then finally, we have the busing system with Short Line at the Short Line bus stop there just around the corner, which connects us with New York City and all these other areas. So there's no guarantee that all of these job benefits and these kinds of things will be focused on Newburgh as opposed to becoming a hub for long distance commuters. The other major point I would like to bring up tonight is that while most gambling centers or all gambling centers do their best to deny underage gambling by incorporating in our zoning law that a gambling facility can now be included within a mall facility, we would either have to segregate the mall into two facilities to maintain the appropriate infrastructure, include various levels of security screening, IDs that aren't currently required at the mall, or other activities. I mean, the last time I was at the mall a few days ago getting an upgraded phone for my daughter, you could see kids 12, 13, 14 going from store to store having fun. Obviously, it's easy to stop those kinds of children from entering a gambling establishment, but when we get to the 16 and 17-year-olds, fake IDs and everything else, I see this becoming a significant hassle for our existing security forces, our existing police officers, and our existing infrastructure. And I would like to comment that none of the study information I have seen to date has addressed either of these concerns. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Robert, so much.
Velasquez.
Okay, who we got?
Velasquez, Kenia Velasquez.
Okay, Velasquez, I think
Hi,
is
how
next.
are
on.
you? Yes,
Okay,
I'm Kenya
Kanina?
Velasquez. How are you? I'm Kenya
Good, thank you.
Velasquez. How are you? I live in 43 Delaware, Newburgh.
Yes,
So not too far from the Newburgh Mall. I'm actually somebody that take my son a lot in the Newburgh Mall. He participates in the karate classes that they have inside the Newburgh Mall. And I also often take him to the Newburgh Library. So adding to what the last person had mentioned, I think his name. To add on, I don't want to repeat what he said, but just to also add on to some of my concern, it would be that like, since I take my son, my 5-year-old son, a lot to the Newburgh Mall, how would he be safe, you know, knowing that now there's a gambling or casino in the Newburgh Mall? I'm also concerned with those businesses be affected, like the karate business that they have in the Newburgh Mall and the Newburgh Library. Would those businesses be still there to provide those services for my son, who pretty much goes there often to his classes in the library that they have in the Newburgh Mall?
okay, Kanina, thank you very much for your comments. Bobby, who we got?
Chris McCracken.
Chris McCracken, I think we have up next here. Chris, if you're out there.
Yes, hello. Okay.
Evening.
Good evening. Thank you to the town board for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Chris McCracken. I am with Advanced Testing Company. We are an Orange County-based firm located at 3348 Route 208 in Campbell Hall. Advanced Testing, as a company, we have longtime roots in Newburgh. We established our first office there back in 1984. And I am a graduate of Mount St. Mary College. I lived in Newburgh for a number of years. And so both professionally and personally, we have close ties to Newburgh. I'm here tonight in support of the Resorts World request to amend the current zoning to allow the siting of the proposed video lottery gaming facility within the mall. Like many similar retail facilities, the Newburgh Mall has struggled to retain tenants and draw traffic. However, I believe that this proposal holds the potential to breathe new life into the mall. We've all kind of seen that with all the malls in the area. And I believe that a facility like this and their plans to encourage other businesses to join the mall as supporting businesses that are complementary to the facility could be a boon, not only to the mall, but to the surrounding area as well. And I believe that it could be helpful for the existing businesses, the restaurants, hotels, gas stations, and other facilities in the town of Newburgh that would be hopefully positively affected by additional foot traffic. Additionally, once operational, Resorts World should be making significant financial contributions to the town, as well as the state's educational fund. And also, as mentioned before, provide several hundred opportunities for local employment, with many of the positions being pretty well-paid union positions. So overall, we see the Resorts World Hudson Valley facility being as a net positive for Newburgh and the surrounding region. And we ask the board to support the requested zoning amendment. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you, Chris. Robert, who else we got?
E.T.
E.T.?
Yep.
Okay, E.T. is what it's listed on the screen as. So if E.T. has a question, we'll unmute you or a comment. E.T., no? Okay, so who do we got next, Bobby, if not E.T.?
S. Fratto.
Fratto?
Yeah, S. Fratto.
Okay, Mr. Fratto?
Yeah, hello.
There he is.
Okay, hi.
I got it now.
Oh,
Okay, well, we got Fratto. We'll come right back to you, E.T. Just stand
Okay.
by. Go ahead, Fratto.
okay, thank you. Hi, Sam Fratto is my name. I'm a lifetime town Newburgh resident, 62 years. I remember when there was no Newburgh Mall. I was a first year electrical apprentice when they built the Newburgh Mall. I just think it's a really good idea at this time, even if it wasn't for the construction part of it. I just think it's a really good idea because you see what's going on across the country with malls. They're doing a lot more entertainment type of things and more different things than just retail. And the Newburgh Mall has been really a sad place for so many years. And it doesn't seem like anything is going to bring that mall back out of where it is. I don't think we're going to see a Bon-Ton come back or a Macy's or something like that. And I think we're lucky to have had them be able to open up a satellite a place like they had in Monticello and have it in the town of Newburgh. I think that what they're going to give back to the community is really worth it. As for the traffic, you know, there's going to be certain times, like they say, like most of the traffic's going to be nighttime. But if you look at the mall, how many parking spaces are at that mall? I mean, when you put a mall there, you have to expect you're going to get a lot of traffic. If that mall was a bustling full mall like it was at one point, I remember people parked and their cars were almost up by Union Avenue. So there was traffic there and it did work. I think there was less lights than there are now and less ways to get on 84 and the throughway and everything else. So, you know, there's a lot of good things to this project. I think they're going to create the jobs. And I think having a bus service that already goes from the mall to the city of Newburgh, I think that's a win-win right there. That's one of the few things that I've seen in the last 30 years that you could really say, hey, there's an opportunity for some people in Newburgh. Actually, a few hundred people out of those 1,200 might be from the city of Newburgh, and they can get on a bus and they can get to work and start the ball rolling. So, you know, besides I'm also I was the apprentice that built the mall. I'm the business manager of the Electricians Union now, cover the whole entire Hudson Valley, represent all kinds of good people, residents of the town of Newburgh and all the towns around. So I believe that, speaking for all the people, and I got over 3,000 people in my union, I believe that this is good, solid project for everybody in the community. And, just make sure everything goes the right way. And thank you for the opportunity.
Fredo, thank you. Bobby, with that, let's go back to ET. ET gets unmuted. We're waiting to hear from you.
Thank you very much. Apologize for that technical difficulty. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My question is this: what are the hours of operations in a COVID and non-COVID environment? And what guarantees do we have? And who's going to be overseeing that the jobs are local?
All right. Megan, do we want to answer that, or Bob right now? I know you have a labor agreement or something going, whatever, and the hours of operation, you should be able to know. Could we unmute Bob's iPad, Bobby? There we go. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Supervisor. Just a couple of comments on the jobs question. First of all, we are in the midst of signing a project labor agreement for the construction jobs. And one of the key components of that agreement is that we're going to try to keep the construction jobs local, out of the local halls. So yes, that will be a top priority, and it will also be an assignment for our overall general contractor who's going to be working on the job. And then to follow that up with the actual jobs in the facility, we've made that commitment as part of the host community benefit agreement. We believe that the town board will hold us accountable to that. We will be contacting the board in advance of opening so that you can help us select some proper locations within the community to hold job fairs, whether they be in person or, God forbid, we're still doing this virtually. But either way, the whole idea of this was to make sure that we brought as many jobs as possible to the local community. And we fully expect that the town board will hold us accountable for that. As far as the hours of operation, we haven't actually set them. I'm going to tell you that I would guess that it would make sense to probably open up at maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. I'll give you an example. Currently, our operation in Queens at Resorts World New York City opens up at 9 a.m. It seems like it's a good time. I will tell you that the facilities, the VLT facilities, are allowed under state law to open for 20 hours a day. However, we're not really planning on starting that way in the Newburgh Mall. We're thinking about closing down earlier than that. If I had to guess, we'd probably do something like 9 in the morning to maybe 2 a.m. And I think part of this might hinge on the liquor, any liquor licenses or what the time is. And I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to this, but I don't know what the closing hours are typically allowed in a mall setting for liquor establishments. But I'm going to tell you that right now our plan is to not go the full hours. We'll probably open up with less than the full hours and then see how the traffic patterns are. And if need be, we'll make adjustments after that.
All right, thank you very much, Bob.
Sure.
Robert, who else we have?
Patty and Gary.
Okay, Patty and Gary.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my question, I'll just give you a quick on my background. I'm a local CPA, and I have had in my career as a tax consultant, I've worked with companies with regard to agreements to bring them into a state and the tax benefits that they may get from those types of things. But my question isn't specifically on that. What it relates to is what kind of guarantees will the town get if the town has to, let's say, commit to increase the police force and increase some of the structural things in the area to make it worthwhile for Resorts International to come in. Resorts International, I don't know their exact financial history, but in the past couple of years, they have lost money. I don't know how strong they are, but the town, I believe, should really think about what kind of guarantees that we can get to cover, so our taxpayers don't get stuck if we pull forward, we start moving on this whole project, the town incurs certain expenses, and then Resorts World decides or whatnot, that maybe they operate for a year and then pull out. I've seen it in the corporate world where that's happened. They've left the towns, basically holding the barrel. So my question is just really, or observation to the town board, is to make sure when you look at these agreements, make sure that they become kind of rock solid so that the town residents will not get stuck. Because all the great benefits I'm hearing, there's always could be a potential downside.
Very good, Gary. Your points are well taken and the board will consider it. But I think for the record, if you can give us some kind of address would be good for the clerk.
Sure, I'm up in the Brighton Green area, right off of Meadow Hill Road.
Very good. You're close by then. Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Gary. Who else we got, Robert?
Bill Viravanti.
Oh, Bill Vivaranti. Bill, can you unmute him?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Bill.
Great. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak. And let me say that I'm also speaking not just on behalf of myself and the Economic Development Department. Well, let me introduce myself. I am Bill Fioravanti. I'm Director of Economic Development for Orange County. I also am a resident of the city of Newburgh here on Montgomery Street. Speaking on behalf of Amanda Dana as well, the Orange County Tourism Director. She's flying right now, actually, so she's not available, but my comments really reflect her views as well. I'm really just looking to speak in support of the zoning amendment because this project to me is a huge win for both the town and for the city of Newburgh, for me to say that selfishly. Admittedly, I will talk about some things that have been said before, but I promise I'll make it pretty quick. To me, this project checks all the boxes. That's really why it has my full support. Number one, it's a bona fide entity. Resorts World, they're our neighbors now, obviously, especially those of us in the economic development world. We work closely with them as partners, interface with them a lot. Genting, obviously, is a behemoth name, and they really have the wherewithal. We all know this, to be able to weather the storm, go through tough times, face challenges and overcome them. That's important. And the team is, made up of people that we know. Megan Taylor, of course. I mean, it's really one of our own, frankly. So that's really valuable in this situation. The second is, it's, as has been said, an adaptive reuse of a blighted property. We don't have too many in the county. We're pretty blessed, but the Newburgh Mall was becoming one of them. I think we all know that. And I think Mr. Fratto pointed out, it immediately pivots this site to an experience-oriented attraction, which malls need to do right now. You're seeing it happen at the Galleria, Crystal Run. You're seeing it happen all around the area. If malls don't do that, they die. So it kind of immediately makes that impact, which is important. It also, of course, generates direct revenue for the town and for Orange County: property taxes, special district charges, sales tax, the $3 million host community benefit agreement, which includes funds for public safety and vital projects. You can't say enough about that, the infusion it'll have there. And it also spurs other development in and around the mall, new restaurant stores, perhaps an additional hotel, which will bring more occupancy tax, and the addition to other businesses that will benefit. So that's enormous. And most importantly, job creation. 200 permanent jobs, and these are high-paying jobs, really on average about $75,000 in salary and benefits, and construction jobs as well, 200 construction jobs. So this is a tremendous opportunity for the residents of the town and for those of my city, especially with the transportation support we're talking about. Tremendous opportunity really for our residents. And lastly, let me just add that we also have to be keenly aware of the potential negative impacts that's been brought up, social, criminal, the effect on our youth and such. And to me, we have to hold Resorts World accountable to properly work with our community to mitigate all these potential impacts. And I think from what you heard tonight from Ms. Taylor and Mr. Salvio, a little while ago, I think they're ready to be really right out in front of those issues. And that's really what you're looking for in this regard. So this has my full support, Amanda Dana's as well. And we do encourage you to support the amendment for the zoning. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you very much, Bill. And I just want to remind everyone too, for or against, if we heard it once or twice, we don't need to hear it again. That's just a suggestion on my part in the interest of time to get through everyone who wants to speak. So with that, Bobby, who else do we have?
Shorten.
Shorten. Okay, there's a Shorten. If Shorten is there, we can unmute Shorten.
Sorry, I'm using my husband's computer.
That's okay.
It's Terry Blancato Horton. I live in the town of Newburgh. I just have a few questions. I attended the last meeting and was unable to clarify a couple things. The 200 to 225 full-time jobs at 74,000, how much is that in tips? And how much is coming from Resort World?
Is that all your questions? Because if you
No,
have more,
my
that's
other
it?
also, I also saw that we were gonna have $500,000 to enhance public safety, which I'm assuming is the police department. Is that per year? Is that a one-time payment? And, you know, being that we are gonna be open till 2 o'clock in the morning, or are you gonna increase the overnight police force? And is 500,000 really enough to do that?
All right, I could probably answer the police question. I know there's $500,000 allocated just for safety, but that could be a number of things. Yes, it could be police. That's yet to be decided by the board. But Bob, do you want to answer the first question that you had, please?
Absolutely. The jobs that we are talking about are for the most part salary. When you think a lot about the normally what would be the tipped jobs, they would be in the categories usually of food service and also for the dealers. So in this case, there are no table games, so we don't have any live dealers. And we only have one bar operation. We're hoping that the food and beverage needs are served by the other operators within the mall. So I would think the vast majority of our jobs are going to be based on salary or an hourly wage and not tipped. And again, there's a combination of both salary and of course benefits that adds up to about the 75,000. So a great question. I thank you for answering that or for asking that.
Can you just give me some idea of what kind of jobs they are? Like, are they
Sure.
security jobs or they work on the
Absolutely.
computers?
There's a little bit of everything. The good news about a building like ours, you can almost think of any type of career. So there'd be marketing, there'd be security, there'd be surveillance. There will be some beverage servers. We will have slot attendants. We will have accountants. So almost when you think about just about every profession, there's going to be warehousing and receiving, a little bit of everything all the way across the board.
And the administrative jobs would be there on site?
Yes, we will have administrative jobs on site. And the good news is that a lot of the jobs in the building don't require a college education. Certainly, we're thrilled if people do have a college education, but in a lot of cases we can train. And that's one of the reasons why we want to connect locally with some of the schools so we can get some young folks into the business and see if they can kind of grow with us. We also provide opportunities for our employees that should they start with us, maybe down the road, they want to get adventurous and travel. So we have casinos. We're opening up a new one in Las Vegas this summer. We have them in Malaysia, in the United Kingdom, in Singapore, in New York City, in Queens, in the Catskills. So when they join the company, we also encourage them, if they're adventurous, they can even try, and if they want to move out of the area, and try one of our other facilities. And we're very happy to really work on training and a lot of upward mobility and promotions.
And do you offer tuition reimbursement if they want to further their education?
We do. We encourage training programs, and we're happy to participate, either having them internally or if folks want to go ahead and get some of that training on the outside.
And then just one more thing that I didn't get answered, that 500,000 for security, is that yearly?
Yes, all of the host community benefit part of that package is on a yearly basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Thornton, thank you. Bob, thank you. Bob, who do we have?
Michelle Augusta.
Michelle Acosta? Augusta. I'm sorry, because I can't see the names from here, but so
That's
if she
okay.
unmute her. There she is,
Yes.
Michelle.
Thank you. I want to say that I appreciate looking for something to fill the space in the mall. As someone said, the mall is a sad place. But I want to ask everyone to think about it in a different way, which is how I'm thinking about it. It does need development. It does need rejuvenation. But I have seen other sad places, and I'm old enough to remember off-track betting. I've lived in the city, I've lived in many different boroughs, and I've lived in Westchester, I live up here now in the town of Newburgh. And off-track betting was one of those things that was presented to us as a savior in many ways. And if you want to see a sad place, if you ever were near an off-track betting site, you saw a sad place. If you want to see a sad place, you go to Aqueduct today and you go see what people who are sitting at Aqueduct and what that looks like, and you'll see a sad place. We're not talking about the social and economic impact to the people's lives who come to these gambling places. And I know that gambling is a problem, and yes, they can take their money someplace else, but it impacts the communities where these places are, not just the people. So if you really don't have compassion or a feeling of empathy or care for the people who are involved in the gambling, it does affect the people who live in the communities who have to pass by them and live with them. And we're talking about a mall. Nobody ever answered the woman's question as to whether or not the library would stay or the karate school would stay in a mall with gambling. We have no guarantees, as we were told. They're going to try to keep the construction jobs local as best as they can. We don't know what that means. They're going to try to give the jobs as many as they can locally. There's no promises. And this is the way the lottery started with, reimbursing the schools and funding the schools with the New York State Lottery. And we saw how successful that was. Everything looks great when it's nice and new and shiny. And I just think we need to take a deeper look at what we're talking about. And the off-track betting sites is a really sad place when people are in them. And that's what this is going to turn out to be. The library's not going to stay. The karate places aren't going to stay in that mall. And that mall is going to be a really sad place because the people who gamble are people who don't have money. People who have money don't gamble. People who don't have money are the ones who come to gamble. And they're going to come on the buses, and they're going to come on public buses, and we're going to end up with other bigger bus companies who are going to come there and do it too. You can do all the studies that you want to do, but poor people are going to come in droves to gamble, to lose their money. And that's what's going to happen. And yes, you'll offer counseling and they won't take it. And they'll keep coming to gamble to lose their money. Because when people have money, they don't have to worry about making money. The only way that poor people get money is by spending the little money they have to try to make more money by gambling to get it. So a sad place, the mall is a sad place today. It is. I know we need construction jobs and I know the mall needs to be revitalized. I just don't think this is the way to do it. And I would hope that we would find a better way to do it. And I think there are better ways to do it. This one's presenting itself right now. I would hope that we could find it in our hearts and in our minds, and not just our hearts, but our minds as well, to find a better way for our community to move forward in revitalizing a very sad place, which is the Newburgh Mall right now. Thank you.
Michelle, thank you. Could we have your address for the record, though, possible? You have to unmute her, Bob, if we're going to get it back. Okay.
I live at 10 Fallview Drive.
Thank you. Okay, Robert, who do we have?
Local 17.
Okay. Local 17 is unmuted. I don't see him. They're just unmuted now?
Yep, I think, can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
I'm Todd DiOrio. I'm currently a resident of Marlboro, New York. I will be a resident of the town of Newburgh on May 1st, and I represent the Labor's Local 17 and Hudson Valley Building Trades. The Hudson Valley Building Trades is 28 trade locals and about 8,000 members. I've been dealing with the Resorts World now for almost 10 years, 3 years during the construction up in Sullivan County. Years ago at the beginning when we were going through the approval process. All of their work has been done union. I've met Bob and Ed and Megan, who I've known for a long time. They've committed to 100% a union project labor agreement, and I hear the concerns about local. A project labor agreement will guarantee that the workers on that project are local. They'll be from the community. My council represents Orange, Ulster, Sullivan, and Dutchess County. And in the project labor agreement, there's a commitment to the town of Newburgh, construction workers, and the surrounding areas, town of Newburgh first and Orange County. It's about a $35 million construction project and 200 to 300 workers on the job. Additionally, there'll be a lot of money spent, hopefully renovating the mall. Hopefully we can get the mall owner to make the same commitment. The benefits, very good local economic stimulus. You heard the average salary. I'm not going to get into all that. The average community host agreements that are coming into place. It's going to be a great project. They're good people. They're committed to union workers even after the project is built, as you heard, with the good salaries. We currently, as building trades, have about 40 to 45 people up at the casino in Sullivan County full-time after the construction was complete. Union construction guys that actually do the maintenance there. And I'm sure we'll get the same commitment here from this crew. So we are in favor of this project. It's a good project. This mall has been vacant. Not vacant, but, kind of obsolete for years. So we are 100% in favor of this project. Thank you, Gil.
Thank you, Todd. Bobby, who else we got?
Dean Tembury.
Dean Tempery? Okay, Dean, you out there?
Yes,
Can I unmute?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, my name's Dean Tambori. I'm on 87 Holmes Road, Newburgh. I appreciate everyone taking the time to have this presentation. I've talked to several of my neighbors who aren't going to be attending tonight, but I will tell you this, that everyone I've spoke to is in favor of this project. I know other people who have worked at the casino, building it, and are still up there working in maintenance. The casino has always kept with their promises going forward. They're a good partner. We can see that. How many different businesses that we have coming in the area that are willing to pay their share of the taxes. One of the only things I've really heard that concerns with some of the other local people that I've spoke to is the regarding crime, et cetera. I think Megan and Jim there, or Bob, he answered it very well. You guys answered that question. I think everyone should know that about the other communities and what the reactions were. I'm in favor of this project with many others that I know in the community, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dean.
We have Patty and Gary. I don't know if they re-raised their
Well,
hand.
I think, okay. I know Patty and Gary might want to talk again, but is there anyone else before we go on repeats here? Anyone who hasn't spoken yet? No? Then, okay, let's go with Gary then. Gary, you're up.
Gil?
Gary and Patty. Yes,
Gil?
Scott.
Yeah, Dan Depue's literally raising his hand. He didn't hit the little.
All right,
thing.
then before we go to Gary and Patty, let's go to Dan DePue. Okay. All right, Dan, if you're out there.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board, how are you this evening?
Good, thank you.
I'm here because I made a commitment to myself that if there was an organization that did what they said they were going to do and they ever looked to expand, I would kind of follow them and tell their story a little bit on their behalf. Genting, New York, and Resorts World did everything that they said they were going to do. And many of the concerns that were put before the community by really good people, residents, about crime, about traffic, about reasonable things, were proven that those never really happened. As the former supervisor of the town of Walk Hill and the former deputy county manager of Sullivan County, I saw major benefits of the casino's operations as the Racino in Monticello, and then when they built their full-on casino, and none of the negatives. I'm a resident of the town of Walk Hill. My address is 348 Prospect Valley Road, but I'm in your town quite a bit on a lot of different projects. And I was in the Newburgh Mall just the other day, and I look at that mall and I say, wow, what could you put there that would help it? And in our town, we have a mall similar vintage, the Galleria. And because the Galleria was having some difficulties and things of that nature, they're proposing, massive housing projects in and around that mall, apartments and things. And this becomes the trend. You're either going to find someone who wants to partner with you to do a real credible project, or they're going to try to change the zoning to turn it into apartments and things of that nature. So I definitely feel not only would the casino be a great tenant for the town and be very helpful, for the mall and helpful to the community in that regard, but it's way better than many of the other developments that would come if the mall continues to fail. And every indication for retail and malls right now is it's not going their way. So think this is a good fit. And I keep that commitment that we saw crime plummet in Sullivan County. We saw unemployment drop, and we saw Genting and Resorts World continue to increase their involvement in the community and continue to do everything that they initially said that they're going to do. So you can take it from somebody who lived it. They are credible and they will do a great job and they keep their commitments.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Craig?
Craig? Okay, Craig is the first time, right? So Craig, if you're out there, we'll listen to you. Hopefully you give your address.
Yes, hi, my name's Craig Guilfoyle. I live on the Union Avenue extension, probably not 10 minutes from the mall. And as a 50-year resident of the Hudson Valley on both sides of the river, this is a project I think is great. It's not only going to benefit the community during the construction phase, but as everyone's brought up, these high-paying, good jobs are going to enable young people to stay in the Hudson Valley. You know, I've lived here my whole life. I want young people to be able to afford to stay in the Hudson Valley and have good paying jobs that they can get to locally. And I am 100% behind this project, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. So with that, Bob,
Well, we have more.
is there also Mike Gatos that's out there too? Hasn't spoke yet?
Maybe it's hard unless they raise their hand.
Okay.
There's about 80 people, but there's 4 people here. Next would be Donette.
Okay. But what about Mike? Mike Gatos, are you out there, Mike? You can unmute Mike if he's there.
We have
Okay. If
Michael
he,
Ham. We have a mic.
He's raising his hand, Gail.
Okay.
okay. Okay, there we go. There's
Okay,
Mike.
Yeah, I also like to thank the town board and Genting for this time. A lot has been said, but a couple concerns I heard. You know,
Mike, if we can get your address too real quick.
It's
for the record.
8 Morley Circle, town of Newburgh.
Thank you.
I'm a 57-year resident my whole life. I grew up right around the corner from the mall. The mall was, at its time when it was built, was actually the place to be. Spaceport, you know, being a young kid going there. And there was bars there the whole time I was there. And you couldn't get into Ground Round if you wanted to. I wanted to, believe me. And you couldn't get in there. So I think, like Megan said, they will police it well. You have the host agreement for police, fire, EMT. You know, those are concerns, but the host agreement spells it right out. I really think if this didn't come at this time after a pandemic and on our way out, you wouldn't have a karate establishment or a library. Sears is on its way out. You know, all these big anchor stores leave. I mean, that karate, that place, they couldn't survive on those 2 little mom and pop stores. So this is coming at a perfect time. And all the concerns I agree with. I grew up there. You know, I have a kid too. Those are my concerns, but this is the perfect timing. And I think, you know, everybody involved will make sure things go well. So I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Who else, Bob?
Donette.
Okay. Donette, again, just your address and your
Sure,
mic should be open.
sure. It's Donette Smith. I'm at 7 Rockwood Drive in Newburgh. I'm in the town. Thanks for giving me the chance to talk. It's definitely a lot of information to take in for sure. And I definitely can appreciate that we need the jobs. I'm just want to go back to the jobs though. The average salary, I think was mentioned $74,000. But we also heard that, you know, a lot of those jobs would be attendees or attendants rather, servers, things like that. I'm just wondering what percentage of those jobs realistically will be in the $74,000 an hour range? Are attendants making
Okay.
$74,000?
So Donette, I think we have your question so far. Maybe Bob can answer that now, or if it's something he wants to get back to you. Bob, are you there?
Gil, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh,
Right,
Bob,
go
go
ahead, Megan. Go ahead, Megan.
Go ahead, Megan.
So Donna, thank you so much for the question. The direct answer is about 78% or so of the 200 to 225 jobs that would be created would be union jobs or HTC, Hotel Trades Council jobs. And those would be the jobs averaging $74,000 a year, which would be inclusive of salary and benefits.
Yeah, that was going to
because-
be my next question, actually. You know, was it benefits included in that $74,000?
That's correct.
So it is.
It would,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, and then back to the community benefit package. I know I was in the first meeting or one of the earlier meetings about this. If I remember correctly, the town was getting $1 million. Is that right?
So it's actually, the town is getting $3 million. And I'll just break that down for you very quickly. So
Yeah.
that $3 million is broken out, and I need to preface this, and Gil, I know you'll back me up on this, but this is an active negotiation. So this is not set in stone as of yet, but this is what we are working with in the process with the town approval. So the host community benefit agreement that we proposed to the town of Newburgh was $3 million annually, which would be made up of $1 million to the town of Newburgh for municipal purposes, $500,000 for a public safety fund, and 1.5 million for a special or vital projects fund that would be that could be allocated to either town of Newburgh projects or Orange County projects in total. So that would be, but again, those payments would be made from Resorts World to the town, and the town would decipher where that needed to go.
So the town then would get to decide about that 1.5 million, if the town is going to keep that project or if they're just going to give it to the county.
The town, in collaboration with other elected officials, as the town board saw fit.
So then
And I do not want to speak on their behalf.
Of course, but I'm just thinking out loud. That's all. I'm just thinking out loud. So that 1.5 million not necessarily will stay in the town. That 1.5 could be put out to the county for another project.
And then that would have to be agreed upon between the
Right,
board and
between the-
myself
right,
and the
that's all.
county.
Right.
And it might be multiple projects too. It might not just be all to one. So that's
Right,
really
right.
undecided.
So
And
what
that
I'm
host
hearing-
agreement's still being drawn. So-
Right, is what I hear for the town right now then is 1 million for sure. 500,000 that is designated for safety.
Mhm.
And then the other 1.5 is variable with the county, correct?
Well, it's
Correct.
actually to the town.
To
But
the-
it
to
is
the
to
town.
the town. The town has to agree on where those funds would be distributed.
So where does the county come into this? I thought I heard you say something. How does the county figure into that?
If we want to be big-hearted enough and there's a project that really needs it in the county, we would have the ability to work with the county and say, hey, let's fund this particular project. You need it for a cleanup or whatever it might be. And that would,
So the town then could make a donation more or less to the county to help them with a project.
well, if you want to call it that, I guess you could.
Well, it sounds like that's what it would be, right? If it's, I'm sorry. All right, it's a lot to think about. I do think.
And again, it's a lot to
probably
think
get a
about,
better
but
deal.
Senator Skoufis actually
Yeah,
negotiated that.
I
deal.
know he did. I know he
And I
did.
guess he had the whole county in mind. you know,
Yeah.
Rather than just town. of
Right.
Newburgh. But you know what my interest is, and I think
Yeah.
yours is right here.
The
So,
town of Newburgh is my interest. That's right. And
Absolutely.
if this is still being negotiated, we might be able to get a better deal. We're looking at a long-term commitment from Genta, which is a very big corporation. We're talking billions of dollars. So I encourage you, yes, to be thoughtful in your negotiation. That's all. Sounds like it could be a great opportunity for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bobby, who else we got?
Chris?
Chris? There's a Chris out there right now?
Sir, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chris, go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor and board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Chris Cerrone. I am a field representative with Labor's Local 17 in Newburgh, and I currently reside in Marlboro, New York, right north of the town. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I just want to touch on a few things. One being, without being redundant to what everybody else has said already, Resorts World has been a great partner to its employees. I want to point out that during the pandemic, when the Resorts World had to shut down, they continued to pay the health care on all of their employees while they were out of work. They're constantly going above and beyond for their employees. And I think they would be a great partner for the town of Newburgh. And this is a much needed project for the town of Newburgh, especially the mall. I don't think there's a better location in the town. And it's only not only going to bring the construction jobs that are so greatly needed in the town, but the permanent jobs for the residents of the town of Newburgh and the city of Newburgh. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to convey my support for this project, and I hope the town board looks favorably upon it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Jill Enfield.
Jill Enfield? Jill Enfield, we can unmute Jill, we can.
Yes, hi, I'm Jill Enfield and I live on Powder Mill Road in the town of Newburgh. And I've been reading a lot about the company and about gambling and what it does to neighborhoods. And unfortunately, I have not been reading such wonderful things about what happens to property, how they do when once a gambling establishment has opened. This is very different than having a hotel and a resort opening. This is just machines, if I understood correctly. It's just a bunch of machines that are coming in for people to come and play with. And I also was reading something that Resorts World is $500 million in debt as of last year, and that the Northeast is oversaturated with gaming establishment. And so I was just wondering how you could afford to, and I do think it's wonderful that you did pay your employees their health insurance while they were not employed by you since you had to close. But if you are so much in debt, how are you going to be able to pay for this? And I have to say, I don't agree that it will be okay for the housing market for you to be here. And
Right, Jill, thank you for your comments, really. And I think any financial situation, I don't think it's our position here to act as Dun and Bradstreet, if you would. We don't really get into the finances, but your comments are well taken and the town board will look into them. Who else do we have, Robert?
Just Patty and Gary.
Okay.
unless They never put their hand down.
Okay, so we got Patty and Gary again, but either you never took your hand down or you have another question. So Gary, Patty, if you want, mic's open.
Hi, it's Patty. Again, I'm at Brighton Green in the town of Newburgh. My question has to do with the transportation and traffic study that was done. Because Brighton Green is right off of Meadow Hill Road, so obviously I'm up and down that road a lot. So my question has to do with the back exit of the Newburgh Mall, that exit or entrances onto Meadow Hill Road. Is there going to be a traffic light that would be put in? Because honestly, right now, it's difficult to get in and out of that exit. There are many times that if you don't really come right out of that mall to go left up Meadow Hill Road, you're going to get clipped.
That's one on the logistics there. I'm not sure. What is that something that's going to be at the planning board level? I don't know if Martell is there. Mark, can you help us here? Can we unmute Martell?
I am.
Okay, go ahead, Mark.
To be honest, I don't believe the traffic study addressed possible impacts on the rear entrance. That is something that should be reviewed as part of the secret process by the town board as well, or you may, as part of your secret determination, indicate to the planning board that it should review the issue and make a determination in the site plan review process.
All right, thank you, Mark. So Patty, to answer your question, it will be looked at.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone left, Bob? Because we on a double now, so.
Yeah, E.T., he already spoke too, but he has his hand up again.
Okay, E.T., your hand is still up. Is it up for a reason?
Yes, I just had another question. Thanks again for the opportunity. 89 Lakeside Road, by the way, and that's Toronto. I just want to ask Bob, how diversified would that workforce be?
Is Megan going to answer that or Bob? I don't know. How diversified is the workforce?
If you, I think, Gil, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Thank you for the question. We take the issue of diversity and inclusion very serious at Resorts World. For anyone that's been in one of our facilities in Queens, for example, you would see that all types are represented within the building. We encourage everybody to join the company, and you would see that we would have an overabundance of a very diverse and inclusive workforce.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Now, my Bob here, is that it, Bob? We went through the whole rest? Okay. Being we've got most of the public, I'm going to ask for short comments from our town board, if we have any. Betty, go first. Anything?
I want to thank everyone who participated tonight. It has really been an education, as far as I'm concerned, of hearing everyone's opinions, both pro and con. And I promise you, I took lots of notes, and I promise you that I will consider all that you have said before I make a decision on my vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Betty. So with that, I think we could go next to Paul Ruggiero. If you have any comments, Paul?
Not really, but I just want to thank everybody for participating tonight. I think the more we talk about this, the more things get out in the open, and it's better discussed this way to make a better decision. But thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So then we'll ask Scott. Scott, you got any comments here?
Well, just like your first statement earlier, there's nothing more to repeat because I just same as the other council people.
Very good, Scott. All right, thank you. Anthony Lobiando.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to thank everyone who participated for taking their time. This is a really important issue for the town. And I think all of the comments were very respectful, and they brought up very good points. And I will seriously consider everyone's input as to how we move this town forward with this important issue. Thank you.
Anthony, thank you. And I want to say, I really want to thank everyone. This was so well organized and respectful by all. I really thank you for that. And believe me when I tell you, I've been around for a while. This board will make the right decision. I really trust my board, and I'm sure we're going to come up with the right decision. And there's a lot to look into, and we're going to do it. So with that, I think we'll make a motion to close this public hearing.
So move.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded at 8:20 to close this public hearing. Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes. And I think we're going to take a short recess, Joe. I used to say in the old days, I'm going to smoke a cigarette, but I'm not going to smoke a cigarette, but a short recess and I'll be right back. So we want to make a motion to go into recess for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Somebody
I'll make
wanna
that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to go into recess for 5 minutes. Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
Paul?
Councilman
You're
Ruggiero,
muted, Paul.
I already went on.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, we got
Thank
you.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes, thank you, everyone. We'll be back.
Ah.
No. What?
Mr. Supervisor, are you ready to reconvene?
So, Joseph, I wonder, I can't hear anything, Bobby. All right, so Joseph Petty, if you're there, should someone make a motion to come out of recess?
So move.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to come out of recess at 8:32 PM. Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes, then we can move on to number 7, Joe.
Yes. Number 7, Police Department, resolution authorizing intermunicipal agreement between the town of Newburgh and Orange County Stop DWI program.
All right, and this is something we've done every year since I can remember with the county. So someone want to make a motion to approve that resolution for that Stop DWI program?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second all your motions.
Who makes? Councilman
did.
Ruggiero?
Yes,
Councilman
sir.
Ruggiero, thank you. And Councilwoman Green, you seconded it.
Yes,
Okay, any discussion? Mrs. Green,
yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
Yes,
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, we go on to item 8 for the Recreation Department. The first item is approval of quote for T-shirt purchase.
Okay, so again, James Pursuti, our Commissioner of Parks and Recreation. He's asking that we award this quote to Fusion Graphics at the price of $3.79 for the T-shirts. So someone make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
Yes,
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, for the Recreation Department, we go to item B, approval to hire part-time recreation aide.
All right, again, Commissioner Pursuti is asking to hire Denise LaForge as a recreation aide on a part-time basis, an hourly rate of $15.31, a starting date of April 26th. And she'll be assigned probably the Desmond Estate.
yes.
The appropriation 7520.5100. So someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
yes,
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, we go on to item C for the Recreation Department. Approval to hire seasonal recreation aides.
And these aides take a big part in the camp process. And we have quite a bit sign up for camp already. So hopefully we're going to be good. So there's about 21 here listed. So I'm going to say as presented, but I'll read the motion. The motion's to hire 21 recreation aides as presented after the background and physical. The starting date will be June 7th, 2021 until September 12th, 2021. Salaries vary between $15.31 and $16.32 for these seasonals. For Anthony E. Tree Morgan and John Matthews, the start date will be May 3rd, 2021 until September 12th, 2021. So someone want to make that motion?
so moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
yes,
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, we go on to item 9. First item is T94 withdrawal for Flannery Animal Hospital.
Okay, so Tracy Carvel, our animal control officer, is asking to expend $32.35 from the T94 donation account, and that's for Flannery Animal Hospital, $32.35. Someone will make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
Yes,
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, item B, also for animal control. Approval to start process to hire 1 part-time animal dog control officer.
All right, so here, Paul Ruggiero is suggesting, he's liaison to that department. He does a very good job overseeing it. But he's suggesting we start the process to hire 1 part-time animal control dog officer. So we're looking for that motion.
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second, please?
second,
go ahead.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiando,
Yes,
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Last for animal control is item C, approval to start process to hire 2 part-time shelter helpers.
All right, here again, we could vote on this, but actually this has already been done and it's already on the webpage. We never took it down to hire the part-time, but let's make a motion anyway to start the process to hire. Let's start the process, but this will be to hire 2 part-time animal helper shelters. So I want to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion?
That's
Mrs.
for
Green?
2 and not 1.
What was that, Scott?
That's for 2 more and not just 1 more?
For 2, Scott, we have two openings.
All right, let's put it for 2 and we can check the, when we actually hire, we'll double check the budget. Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes,
Mr. Manley,
No.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Okay, next we go on to item 10 for the Highway Department, spring leaf and brush pickup.
All right, so Mark Call, our highway superintendent, he wants to get approval to, for the leaf and brush pickup between May 3rd, 2021 and May 6th, 2021, and calls being on May 7th, 2021. And I will get this put on the webpage and hopefully, Joe, you'll get it advertised. So, you know, I'm not sure if we need a motion on this or not, but if someone want to make a motion, that this is when we're going to go out to for the.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, we go on to item 11 for the Accounting Department. Approval to hire principal payroll clerk.
Okay, and so Ron Klum, our accountant, interviews were done. And I believe Betty sat in on those interviews too. She's the liaison.
yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so who's the liaison to accounting? That would have been.
I'm the liaison. I was out of town that day.
Okay, so I know Ron done it and Charlene sat in.
Probably, yes.
And
I
this-
spoke to them.
Okay, and this person's being hired off the county list, so, okay. So it's Marina Callis. He's looking to hire Marina Callis as principal payroll clerk. It's a full-time position, an hourly rate of 19.9795. And it's from his fund appropriation 1315.5100 with a proposed hire date of April 19th, 2021. That's assuming that the physical and everything else is complete background. Someone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
and I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, we go on to item 12 for the Water Department. Approval to conduct spring fire hydrant flushing.
Okay, so Jeff Guido, our water department manager, is suggesting flushing of the hydrants. And it seems we do this twice a season now instead of once. But it will begin on Monday, May 3rd, 2021, and continue to completion on or before May 14th, 2021. And that'll be posted on the website and Joe will advertise it. Someone want to make that motion?
so move.
second,
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes.
Next, we go on to item 13 for the Engineering Department. There are 3
And-
items that involve, excuse me, water main improvements at North Fletcher Drive, post-bid construction phase services. The first item is approval for
just a
construction. I'm
Joe,
sorry.
here's what I was going to ask, just a minute. I see Pat Hines is there. I think he's in the firehouse. I think I see a fire hose behind him there, but can we unmute Pat? Maybe he can give us a quick rundown on this. And, okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is for Fletcher Drive. The project was recently bid and awarded to Regal Utilities. It's going to start construction in the near future. Mazer, now Colliers, was the design engineer, And these are the proposals for the post bid. Your 12A is for the administrative services. 12B is for the construction inspection during the construction to keep track and eyes on the contractor. And then 13C is the preparation of as-built plans. But Mazer was the design engineers and they gave us this proposal to do the construction phase services broken out in those 3 tasks. It's a total of $56,000. The total cost of the project for construction phase right now is just under $500,000. 300,000 of that is covered by a grant through New York State.
All right, thank you, Pat. So with that, we're looking for a motion to award the post-bid construction services in the amount of $56,300 to Mazer Engineering.
Yeah, I think it's Collier's now. I'm not sure where they are with the name
Collier?
change, but
They joined with another company, so it's
Yeah.
Collier or Mazer or whatever. Okay,
Bill, can I just ask a quick question? We're gonna do A, B, and C all together then?
yes, right? We're doing the 3 together. That's what comes to 56.3, yes?
correct. That's the total.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I'll
your
second
motion.
it.
Oh, Paul can have it.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes,
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piacquadio.
Yes, and I just got to tell you, Pat, I wasn't kidding about the fire hoses, but I see it now. It's the valance on your drapes behind you. Looks like the wrapped up fire hoses. All
I'll
right.
let my wife know that.
No, apologize to your wife for me on that one. Okay,
Okay, next
So-
we're in item 14 for announcements.
okay. I have no announcements. Betty, you have anything?
I have no announcements.
Okay. Paul?
just one. Tomorrow at Chadwick Lake Park at 4:30 PM, but I would get there around 4 o'clock. NFA versus Kingston for a final, second and final cross-country race at the park. So
That starts at
if you can
4?
get out there, anybody, get out there and support NFA or Kingston.
Did you say 4 o'clock, Paul?
Yeah, I would get there like 4 o'clock because they're gonna start 4:30. It's girls and boys,
Oh,
cross country.
Very nice, very nice. All right, thanks, Paul.
thank you.
With that, Scott, you have anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Anthony?
No, sir. No, nothing tonight. Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we'll go to public comments, Joe.
That's
Does
correct.
the audience want anything to say? Give us an indication here somehow and we'll let you have the floor. Somebody, who is it? Okay, we have ET. ET,
How you doing? Ernesto Torado, 89 Lakeside Road. I just got a question on all those jobs you're looking to fill. Are you gonna be advertising those or are they already filled?
all right. Those are part-time seasonal. Many
I
of
know.
them are college kids. All the applications have come in already. A lot of them are coming back from last year. And Jim Prasuti, you want to add to that? We can order Jim Prasuti, Commissioner, because he's really involved with that. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, those jobs are advertised every year in early spring. So they're
On the
advertised on the website. And but most of the ones that you see for the rec aides are returning counselors for our summer camps and whatnot. But yes, they are advertised.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Bob? Who else we got? Donette? Okay, Donette, I see your hand. Go ahead, Donette.
Hi, I'm just curious with the summer camps that are being planned with COVID, what are the numbers that you're looking at when it comes to the summer camps?
Can we unmute Jim Prasuti again? Jim?
Yeah,
Right, Jim.
Donette, normally we take close to 200. We've knocked that numbers down to between 75 and 100. So we've knocked them in half. And we do use COVID protocols, and we are mandated by the county health department. So yes,
So there's a whole plan in place. it
yes,
sounds
it was in
like.
place
Yeah.
last year
Okay,
for our programs last year, which we had very little, and we're just following the same protocols unless the county changes them.
okay. And well as I have you, Jim, actually, any updates on the Desmond campus? What's happening there or programs planned there?
Well, we had two part-time folks start today. They were working for the Desmond prior. So I've charged them with coming up with a small slate, because we're gonna walk before we run with the Desmond. I don't want to run into everything. I want to start this the right way. So I asked them to please come up with between 10 and 15 activities and programs that we may be able to start by June 1st.
No, what happened, Bobby? We just lost.
And
something.
today was their first day on the job, so, and they worked for the Desmond before, and they ran the programs before, so they're very excited, and I'm very excited to get moving on it.
Awesome. That's great.
Okay, very good. Donette, was that it for now? Yeah, okay. Anyone else? Bobby?
Not that I see.
Okay. Seeing no one else, and it's been a long night. I guess if someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
No.
No, we got a motion to go in executive session.
That's correct.
Make a motion to go in executive session. So I want to do that.
So
I'll make
moved.
the motion.
And then I'll second your motion.
Now, before we vote on it, this is a little different. Usually executive session is just that in the back room when they talk about usually personnel issues. And in this case, it's about a sick bank for a town employee. It's not appropriate to talk about it in public. So we're going to keep this meeting open. And we are going to go, I'm going to call the members up by telephone, put them on a speakerphone and see if they want to approve the sick bank. And if they do, we're going to come back out of executive session and then give the motion to Joe and we'll vote on it in public. So it's going to be a little boring if you want to watch TV instead, but we'll still be here. We're coming back for the actual vote. We're going to go in executive session very shortly.
Okay,
So
Motion
go in.
made and seconded to go into executive session at 8:50 PM. Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
All-
Councilman Ruggiero?
He's on mute. He's waving his head yes, he's on mute.
Okay.
Yes.
Council,
He's muted now. Yes, I hear him. Okay.
okay, Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes, so we'll be back. All right, so Joe, we need a motion to come out of executive session. Someone want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, motion made and seconded to come
I
out of
hear better
the,
with these earphones in. We got a motion to come out of executive session?
yes, motion made and seconded to come out of executive session at 9:02 PM. Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
yes.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes. And Joe, there was no action taken in executive session, but we're going to make a motion now and we will take action that we've come out of executive session. And that motion is going to be to create a bank, a sick bank for a town employee. And it was actually asked for by the CSEA. So someone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second your motion.
Any discussion? Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
Yes.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes. Then look that, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Motion made and seconded to adjourn at 9:03 PM. Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Ruggiero,
yes.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
Mr. Lobiondo,
Yes.
and Mr. Piaquadio.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Have
Good
a
night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.